All right,
Okay.
we're going.
All right. Tell me, first of all, I don't think this is on the list, but I wanted to ask what's like your favorite memory as a kid?
Oh, let me think. Hmm.
And then you can tell me where you grew up.
Sure. Yeah, that's no problem. I'm just trying to think of my favorite memory. I actually don't have a whole lot to pick from, but I would say, I know that sounds awful. You'll find out.
Okay.
But I guess I would say some of my best memories were because my mom and dad were separated, but my dad would pick me up on his days off, and I would go to his house and spend time with him, and we would rent movies, and he would cook a lot of food, and we'd just eat and watch movies. So that's
Uh,
one of my favorite memories as a kid.
like, was this like it happened a lot?
Yeah, it was once a week.
For like years?
I want to say like at least a year or two.
Like, how old were you?
About 7 or 8.
Okay. Yeah. So how early did your parents separate?
Well, they were like, yeah, they were like
Okay.
on and off pretty much my whole life. So when my mom met my dad, she was in the middle of a divorce from another man, which was her second husband. And then she got pregnant with me, divorced that guy, married my dad. So yeah, it's kind of an interesting background. And my mom had a lot of issues. My dad had a lot of issues, and they could never work it out together. Really, there were a few times where they would try to live together and make it work, but then it just didn't work. So they actually never officially got divorced until I was 18. But they were on again, off again, on again, my whole life, pretty much my whole kid life.
That must have been hard.
Yeah, I actually, as weird as it sounds, it was like normal for me. Like it was hard. I think it was more of the things surrounding all of that was hard, than the actual them having the weird relationship. So,
Like, what do you mean all those things around it? You can
um,
tell me if I'm too nosy because sometimes.
no, this stuff is gonna come out, so it's totally cool. And I'm pretty much an open book, so it's fine. But yeah, my dad is actually he's in recovery, but he was a former drug and alcoholic
Okay.
addict. And then my mom, she was kind of a little tramp. I mean, she just kind of got around. To give you an idea, I'm one of 5 children, and none of them are full-blooded related to me.
Okay.
So, and I'm the only girl. So yeah, that's kind of, I guess, the thing surrounding that, just the constant, we moved around a lot. My mom, would pick up and move, to get away from my dad or to run away to somewhere because she couldn't handle what was going on. That was how she coped. And then my dad with his drug abuse and stuff. So that was more of the things that were hard, I think, than their
And
relationship.
those two. Right.
Yeah.
Right. So, did you grow up with the siblings? Like, did your mom?
So, well, okay. So my 2 oldest siblings, I actually don't know very well at all. I know their names, and I know one of them has children, and I kind of have connected with them on Facebook, but we don't have any sort of a relationship really. And then, and so they're also, my oldest sibling is 10 years older than me. And then his younger brother is 8 years older than me, I think. And so then, the brother, the next brother, he's 4 years older than me. And I know him a little bit better because, he was actually around when my mom and dad met. And so when they had me, he lived with us for a while.
Okay.
So the oldest 2 lived with their dad when my mom left, and she moved to Springfield. And so then she had Danny, which is the next brother, and he lived with me for a couple of years when I was really, really, really little. And I mean, I kind of remember that, but he didn't live with us for very long. And then he moved in with his dad. So then it was just me until I was 7. And then that's when my younger brother came along, and we lived together up until the time I moved out.
Okay. So, are you close with your younger brother?
Not anymore. And it's mainly just because I mean, I don't know if this is the whole reason, but he's just kind of at that stage in his life where he's finding himself, like, so, and I was at that stage when he was in high school because I had moved out. And so then, now I'm not in that stage, and I'd be cool with reconnecting with him a little bit, but it seems like he's always got something going on. So we don't talk that much.
Hold on. I think I hear my kid.
Yeah.
Do you hear her, Josh? I think that's the couch squeaking. My daughter did not nap today, and she needed one so bad. And, like when they don't nap, they don't sleep well at night,
Mm-hmm.
She's crying about not having a bubble bath.
Oh.
It's like, honey, just go to bed.
Right.
Anyway, so, like, how do you feel that affected you? Like, because it sounds like things weren't super stable. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
Do you think that really made a difference at all? And how did that affect you?
Well, I mean, I'm sure it affected me in like a whole plethora of ways, really.
Yeah. That's a lot of questions.
No, it's okay. I mean, I guess could you ask more specifically, like which area of my life?
Okay, well, like, how do you feel that like affects your relationships and how you interact with others now?
Good question. This actually came up a little bit while my husband interviewed me. So I would say I actually have a really hard time keeping relationships in general. I have this fear, I think, that they're destined to fail, like, because almost every relationship I've ever had has failed at this point, up until this point. And my husband and I actually, like, I think that's one of the biggest things. Like, I often push him away because I'm always afraid, like, I'm afraid of that closeness. I don't think I'm afraid of the closeness. I think I'm just afraid that, like, it's gonna crumble. Right. And even in my friendships, like with other women, I've noticed that a lot. Like, I've had a lot of friendships that I felt like we were really close and like we were really good friends, and then they just kind of fell apart. Like, we just didn't. And it could just be me. I don't know. But yeah.
So do you think that like it's just like you lose connection, like you don't keep in contact, or do you think it's kind of self-sabotage?
I don't know. That's a good question. I mean, it could be both, but it also could be like, so I think about, okay, when I was really young, for instance, I never had like a set of friends because my mom was so unstable that she would like move a ton, like, and so I couldn't really connect with people. Like, for instance, in kindergarten, I moved like 6 times.
Oh wow!
Like, no joke. So I was always switching schools, and like, I just didn't have like a group of friends. And then I would say when I got to high school, things were a little bit more stable. I stayed at the same school at least all through high school, so that was good. But even in high school, like, I never really felt like there was a place that I fit in.
You were saying that the other day, like, who are you going to eat lunch with?
Right, exactly. Yeah, I totally related to what you were talking about because, like, I wasn't a jock. I wasn't a geek. I wasn't, I wasn't a cool punk rock kid. Like, I was none of those people. And so I felt like very isolated and left out. And so I would try to connect. I would say the closest friendships I had in high school were with my church group. But even those, there were like cliques inside of those groups. So it was, still, I always felt like I wasn't really a part of anything,
Right. So do you feel like you say you have a hard time keeping relationships, like, or do you find that it's hard to start being friends with people, or is that easy for you?
That I feel like it's changing because, like, I feel like it used to be easier for me than it is now because I think I've been starting to get like really jaded, because I'm like, this is hard work. Yeah. Yeah. This isn't going to last. So, I don't know really.
Well, and I think too, like I posted about this, I don't know, a few months ago, like, why is it so hard to make friends as an adult? And a lot of people are like, yeah. Like, there are people who I know that I'm not friends with. So it's like, even like we're not friends and you're agreeing with me, like, so I think maybe, I don't know, but I think a lot of people feel that way as adults. And maybe it's just you get more independent.
Yeah.
You know, like you don't need as many friends. Oh, I don't know.
Well, I know this. We have like a life group in our church, and we've switched churches a couple of times even in the past couple of years because we moved, and then so we switched churches, and then like just trying to get plugged into like a Bible study at that church because it's a bigger church than what I came from. Mm-hmm. And so like I noticed like with this life group we've been a part of it for over a year now, and I feel so disconnected from the women. And I almost feel like part of it is we've kind of reached that threshold where it was like, we could have been really close friends, but we didn't invest enough in the beginning. So now we're just kind of like that weird acquaintance. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
And so
like, is it too late?
Yeah. Like, I feel like it's like too late to start being friends now because we're so used to being like just people who see each other once a week, you know?
Right. So, that's interesting. So how do you feel like this affects all your coaching?
Well, I don't really know. I would say, in general with coaching, I feel like I have an insecurity that I'm going to scare people like away. And I mean, with trying to develop relationships with them, because I feel like, once they find out I'm a coach, it's like, you know, and so I don't know, it makes me a little insecure a little bit. And then, as far as my team is concerned, like my upline and stuff, like I'm having same feelings of like, I felt really close to them, like as friends. And now I'm kind of like not, because like, for instance, my upline coach has added a ton of coaches since she added me, mm-hmm. you know? And so now I'm like, well, now those people are performing better. So she's going to invest more time into them. So, you know, that just kind of leaves me out.
This is a question. Do you feel, or like, this is maybe just something from the outside, and I mean, we've spoken for like an hour, so I don't really know you, right?
That's cool.
But like, do you feel like your sense of self-worth has something to do with that? You know, like, do you feel maybe you're not worth them investing time in, or that the friend, like you're not worth friends investing in, or, you know, does that make sense?
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure like deep down on a subconscious level, that's probably accurate. It's just not something that I, you know, have thought much about. Yeah. But I mean, just in general, from my background, you know, and like being raised in the situation I was raised in, I think, you know, and I also got bullied a ton too as a kid. Like, so I was the new kid. I always got bullied. Like, it was a bad situation. It's kind of amazing that I am where I am now. Like, if you think about it, I know it's so hard. Like, when I was interviewing the other day, I was like, oh no, she's going to have a heyday with me. Because like, I've got a ton of baggage. But it's kind of amazing that I am where I'm at now, because at that point it was just, yeah, I'm sure on a subconscious level, it does influence my relationships and my business and everything now. But
okay, so how do you think you pulled out of, you know, that type of lifestyle?
Well, you know, despite my dad's flaws as a human, I know he's a really good man. Like, he's not a smart man, but he's a really good man. And he was always a very proud father. He was very encouraging to me, like, even though he had his issues, because like, I mean, he always told me like, you can do whatever you set your mind to. Like, he always was telling me those things. And he also, he had a lot of regret in his life, because when he was in school, he was an athlete, and he had a opportunity to have a college scholarship for football or something. And like, he threw it all away because he was drinking and using drugs and all that. And so he wanted to see me do better than him. And so he would always encourage me to go to school. So that was like the big thing for me. It's like, okay, I'm going to go to school. And I wanted to change where I came. I didn't want that to be the rest of my life, because I saw all these other people that were, because I kind of got plugged into certain groups at my church, like with friends, and I saw like their lives were so much different than mine. And I wanted to be like that. Like, I didn't want to be like this oddball out. Like, I wanted to be like a normal person, you know? So I was like, okay, my dad's telling me that we could have had that if he went to school. So I'm going to go to school. And interestingly enough, like in high school, like I hated school. I was not into school at all. And I did very poorly.
I was going to ask you how you did.
So. Yeah. Well, it's funny. So I did really poorly throughout school. I graduated and everything, obviously, but like, I gotta be honest, like, and this could make your jaw drop. I don't think I read a single book in any of my English classes. Like, I don't know how I passed, to be quite frank, but I did go to community college. And even though I was there for 4 years trying to figure out like what to do with my life, I graduated with an associate's, went on to a 4-year university. I graduated with a 3.6 GPA at that university, and now I have a master's in social work. So it's kind of crazy, like the progression. Yeah.
So what made you decide to do social work?
Well, you probably know. Definitely, I have what we call wounded healer syndrome. Just feeling like I have a very soft heart towards people who've gone through similar situations. And I also know, like, when I was younger and I was working with those social workers and those therapists, they really helped me too, and definitely influenced me too. And so I wanted to be like them and pay that forward and help other people. So
when did you decide you wanted to be that?
Social worker?
Yeah.
Well, so the social work thing came around after I got my bachelor's. I got my bachelor's in psychology. And it was kind of like, initially I wanted to be a counselor, but since I realized I was going to have to go to like through all these hoops to like do, I was like, screw that. I'm just going for social work because it's pretty much the same thing. And so, so that's what I ended up doing. But I would say that, you know, that counseling side of me it was kind of always underneath. I just didn't know that that's what I wanted to do really until I was in college. But I mean, I tried to think about so many different things I wanted to be a youth minister. I wanted to be an artist. I wanted to be you know, like a teacher at one point. You know, like a nurse. I was like bouncing all over the place. And but the one thing that seemed like made the most sense at the end of the day was social work. So,
right. And I'm going to kind of backtrack here. So why do you think in high school you did poorly, like academically?
Well, a lot of it was laziness. Like, mainly I didn't see the value in education either, I guess. You know, like my dad was telling me all this stuff, but I was being rebellious. And I was like, okay, whatever. You know, like you're out doing drugs. Like, why should I listen to you? And so, not that he did that the entire time I was in high school, but, you know, I think obviously home life has a huge effect on all that, you know, and like, I didn't really have, like, my mother wasn't really involved with helping me with anything. Like,
right.
She would harp on me, like, but she wouldn't, like, actually sit down and help me with my homework if I had a question or, you know, that's when I was younger even, you know, it was just kind of like expected. Like, and that's how I felt like a lot of things were growing up. It was like expected that I would know how to do something, but nobody ever actually showed me how, you know?
Yeah. So. That's interesting. So how, like, what's your relationship with your mom and dad like now?
My dad we're close. He actually lived with us a couple weeks ago for a little while. In the month of January, he had to live with us because with all of his drug and alcohol history, he had been staying at a halfway house and he'd been there for 3 years. And completely, like, he was sober. Like, he got kicked out of the house because he had gone to the doctor and got a prescription for a cold or some sort of virus he had, and he didn't know that there was like a narcotic in the drug, and they did a random drug test and they kicked him out, which I thought was completely unfair, but that's another story. So yeah, so we're close. He stayed with us for a little while until he could get back on his feet. But I feel like our relationship's so weird, and like I have to be really careful with boundaries with him because we had a very like codependent relationship up until I got old enough to know what that was and kind of like say, okay, like I am married now. You can't call me after 9 p.m. and chat with me about how depressed you feel right now. Like, I can't handle that. I'm your daughter, not your therapist. You know, like, so I have to put those boundaries in place. So there's that. And he also, because of all the drugs and alcohol, like his brain, he just never fully developed his frontal cortex. Like he doesn't have, he's just not, he's like a teenager basically. Like
Right.
he hasn't matured. So there's that. And then my mom and I have a very bad, not good relationship. Like she's got so many issues. Like she lives 2 hours away from me. She has no car. We never had a car growing up. She has no transportation to get anywhere. She lives by herself. She lives on state aid, and she basically just smokes cigarettes and watches TV all day. So she has met my oldest son, who is 3. She's met him once or twice, and she's never met my youngest son. And honestly, at this point in my life, I just feel like I'm just going to keep it that way because I just wasn't a very good person. So.
Yeah, that sucks. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay.
How do you think that affects your mothering?
It makes me want to be the opposite, but then I can be very like critical of myself, you know, because like I feel like she was such a bad mom that I try to be super mom. And then I kind of like get stressed out if I feel like I'm not doing things right or if I'm not doing enough and all that.
Do you think like you do that more than other moms though? Because I think that's kind of.
Is that normal?
I think every mom does that.
Okay, well that's not what my mom did. So.
Yeah, no, I think that like mom, like there's this, I call it mom guilt, right? Like all the stuff that you do that you shouldn't do, like yelling or snapping or, you know, whatever. And then all the stuff that you feel you should be doing, but you're not, you know?
Yeah.
Every mom has that to one degree or another, right?
Right.
Yeah. So I totally hear you. Like today, I wasn't feeling super good. So I'm like, here kids, play ABC Mouse. Right? Like, sorry, I don't think you should have that much screen time, but that's how it's going to happen today. You know, like it's just the way it goes sometimes. Sure. So like, I'm just kind of going through and seeing because you've kind of been all over it with your.
I know. I'm sorry. Everything is so intertwined.
No, it's fine. I just don't want to have you afterwards be like, oh, we didn't even talk about this, you know?
Yeah, no, it's cool.
So like, do you, like friend-wise, like friends from college, do you stay in touch?
Kind of, yeah. I mean, like on Facebook, you know, and it's like not really, but a little bit. Like, so one of my good friends, she just got married in, you know, July or August, and I was invited to the wedding, and you know, like I kind of see her on occasion. You know, some of them I keep up with through chat on Facebook, and just like. I'll even occasionally call on the phone and like actually have a conversation that way. So yeah, a little bit, but you know, it's not as much as I would like, obviously, but I think at this point we're just all busy, you know?
Yeah, I do know. Well, cause the only friend in college, not only like that I actually keep in touch with, like texting all the time, you know?
Yeah.
She's single. So she's like,
she doesn't get it.
No, she's single. So she's got more time. Like she doesn't have a family and, you know.
Yeah.
Anyways, so do you feel like you want to talk about anything else about your younger days? I don't want to miss out on anything.
I think I'm good. I think I know a lot about my, you know.
Right.
I'm one of those weird people that like knows every little traumatic detail. So.
Did you think like while you were doing your degrees that like you hashed through a lot of that?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and I've been to counseling a lot too. So like, you know, I mean, there have been times where obviously I've cried about it. It's not like I'm a stone cold soul. Right. Like, you know, it is stuff that hurt me, but it is stuff like through personal development, through seeing my counselors, through talking about it with my husband, even, you know, through talking and praying about it. Like, I feel like I've grown a lot through it. And I know that God does all things for the good of people. And I feel like my life is like a living testimony of how good he is, because there was so much bad, but like, I still turned out pretty good. And, you know, and also like, even in the midst of all that bad stuff, like I learned so much, you know, like, so.
Like, what's the biggest lesson you learned, you think?
I guess to like, oh, that's hard. I would say to just love people where they're at, because you never know. Like, you never know what they could be going through. And just, I don't know, to not judge a person, like, because you don't know what their story is, you know? Like, a lot of people I feel like would look at me and not know, like, you wouldn't have never known all that if I didn't tell you.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
And so you never know why a person might react to something a different way. Like, some people take things harder than others because it has something attached to it that you may not have intended, but yeah.
Right. So how do you feel that influences your coaching? Like,
you know, I guess when I'm talking to people about the coaching opportunity or joining a challenge group, I always try to approach it from a standpoint of being like sensitive to their needs, you know, and, you know, especially with people who have a lot of like weight to lose and stuff, because, you know, I don't know if we'll get to that or not, but, you know, I had a lot of weight to lose too. And so I understand the shame associated with that. And so I guess I'm always coming from a place of compassion and love when I'm talking to people, because, you know, they may not be ready right now, but, you know, when they are ready, I hope they'll come around and remember that I cared about them, you know?
Right. That made me think of something. I bet we'll get to it when we talk about your journey or whatever. Sure. So how did you meet your husband?
We met through a Christian like campus thing. It wasn't really on our campus, but it was like a college group in the area, and it was a bunch of different faith backgrounds, but all underneath the Christian umbrella. So we met at that group. I had been invited there by a friend who I worked with at the time. So.
Well, and here's a question too, like, were you raised being religious with, you know, like with your, because obviously everyone has issues, but
yeah,
still,
so,
you know, so how did your faith start?
Yeah,
that's a big part.
We actually were just talking about this at small group last night a little bit. Like my mom actually, even though she's an awful person, she did teach me like to pray, you know, like I remember her teaching me how to pray, and she's a very religious person, but we never went to church. Like that was never something that my family did. We always did on Sundays. I didn't really understand that, you know, because they always, like my mom talked about God, but we never went to church. And then, so I was always interested in church and interested in faith. And I remember I'd even watch like the Catholic channel on TV and stuff, because I like wanted to learn more about Jesus and like who he was. And that was one of the things we had available to us. So I'd watch it. But I actually met a friend in my neighborhood when I was 10 years old, and I invited myself to her church because she said they were going. I was like, oh, can I come? Like, I want to go to church. That sounds like awesome. Like, I want to do that. I invited myself to her church, and that day, like, I went up and I said I wanted to become a Christian. Like, it's kind of crazy. And the pastor was like, I don't even know what he spoke on that day. Like, I'm sure it had nothing to do with the message that I went up there. I was just like, I want to be a Christian. And part of it could have been I wanted to feel like I belonged to something. Right. And I did. But I mean, it's the best decision I ever made. You know, I accepted Jesus in my heart, and I definitely had a lot of ups and downs in that relationship, because like a lot of things, not knowing how to do your homework isn't modeled for you or taught to you. Not knowing how to study scripture wasn't modeled or taught to me. So like, you know, those are disciplines I'm still working on and trying to get better at. But I don't remember where I was going with that. So, but yeah, I mean, I accepted God into my heart when I was 10. And then I kind of like throughout school and stuff, like I would go to my friends' churches and youth groups. I just tag along and go with other people wherever I could get a ride. And my parents were fine with that. Like they didn't have a problem with me going with someone else to church. And sometimes they would come with us. Like there was a while that my mom and dad were coming to church with me at one point. And my friends were giving them a ride, like 'cause they didn't have a car. Right. So, yeah.
Okay. And so how long did you guys date, you and your husband?
Oh, yeah.
Sorry, that's what I got on.
It's all intertwined. We dated for 7 months or 8 months, and then he asked me to marry him. And then we were engaged for a little over a year, and then we got married.
Okay. And so how does he feel about all of your family situation? Like, does that create issues?
Well, he has his own stuff too, so it's not nearly as crazy as mine. But you know, his dad was also an alcoholic, so he kind of can relate to me with
right.
that. But luckily, his mom was pretty well. You know, she was more of a mother figure, which is good than mine was. And he grew up Catholic, actually, which is interesting because that causes a lot of problems with our families now because we're not Catholic. And so they, you know, have a lot of concerns about how we do things and how we're raising our kids. And yeah, they're like really upset that our kids aren't baptized yet and all this other stuff. So,
personally, don't worry about it.
Yeah, I'm not. He's not either. It's just, well, I think he is a little more than I am, but I mean, they love Jesus. They do it different.
Yeah. Well, I mean, infant baptism is a big deal for, you know, for that faith. Anyway. Okay. Sorry. Off topic.
That's okay.
So, like you've got 2 kids, right? How old is your youngest?
He is 18 months.
Okay. And so, like I know you said you wanted to kind of be like super mom, but what's your goal as a parent?
You know, honestly, to raise them to be productive members of society, but also to have a close relationship with Jesus. Like that's on my radar for them, you know, so that's the thing that I think is the most important for them.
Yeah, absolutely. So how would you like describe yourself as a parent?
I'm the messy, laid back one. I would say my husband is the opposite of me in that, so we complete each other, I guess. But I like to have a lot of fun with them, and I'm always planning activities, like taking them places, because I want to get them out of the house as much as possible, because whenever we're in the house, I'm like, here's your tablet, watch TV. Oh, it's awful. But so I like to take them to the park or to the children's museum. We have this like membership to this baby gymnastics thing. We go to that sometimes. And so I'm kind of like activity oriented with them. And then also just like, I almost liken myself to, have you ever seen the movie Big Daddy?
I don't know.
With Adam Sandler. Okay. Well, anyway, there was this movie, Big Daddy.
Is the cover picture of them peeing on a wall? Okay, no, I don't think I've seen that. But.
Okay, well, if you've ever watched that movie, I'm almost like that dad. Like, not quite to that extent, but, you know, like there's a scene in the movie where the kid spills the milk all over the floor, and the dad's like, whoa, it's okay, we'll fix that, you know, and he just covers it with newspaper, and that's his way of cleaning it up. Okay, I wouldn't really do that, but like I try to have that attitude kind of with my kids, like, because one of the things that when I was growing up was such a big deal is like, if I made a mistake, I mean, it was like, my mom was a bitch about it. Like I got spanked, or, you know, and it was like, I didn't even know what I did wrong. You know, I just like did something. And so like, I'm like almost the opposite. I'm like, hey, it's okay. You know, which probably isn't good because they need discipline too, but you know, I'm just kind of like, yeah, I try to be tough, but I'm not very good at being tough.
So your husband's the tough one?
Yeah, I would say. I mean, he's more tough than me. He's not like a total hard ass or anything. He's just more tough than I am. And he's also a neat freak. So like my husband's the one wiping their mouths off while they're still eating. And I'm the one, like, they've got spaghetti in their hair and they're just like, you know, and I'm just like, whatever, I'll take care of it when they're done. So
that's funny. I totally get that. So, and I'm kind of like he and I are both mixes of the two, but in different areas, you know, so
yeah,
kind of, okay. Have you ever been heartbroken?
Yes.
Okay, let's hear it.
I was engaged to another man before I met my husband, and he was cheating on me. So yeah, that broke my
That
heart.
helps relationship building.
No, not really.
I know, that was sarcastic.
Yeah, I
know. So how did that affect you?
Well,
because obviously it's not easy for you to get close to people.
Yeah, we were like, him and I had been together for 4 years. We were living together, and I think we'd only been engaged for like 6 months, but the wedding was like right around the corner when I found out about all this stuff. And he denied everything, which made it even worse because I'm like, can't you just like own up to it and like tell me you're sorry at least? Like, be a man. But yeah, so then like after that happened it was right after I got my associate's degree and I was moving to a different town to work on my bachelor's. And I kind of like went crazy, like wild, like I was out drinking every weekend. Like this is part where I'm talking about my faith relationship was like not the best. So I was like out drinking every weekend and, you know, promiscuous and like all that stuff. And it was just a bad situation. And yeah, I don't know. It wasn't a good season of life.
So what changed to help you pull out?
Well, as I had mentioned, that gentleman that I worked with had invited me to the Christian group, and I had been I hadn't been going to the church regularly or anything because I was like, I think pissed off at God and stuff. And so I hadn't been going to church and I hadn't really, you know, and I had this like epiphany moment because I had gone to this party. It was like a New Year's Eve party, and just had a really bad experience with this man. And this person that I worked with invited me to the Christian group like right after that. So it was like perfect timing because I'm like, okay, I'll try it out, whatever. And so I went and I tried it out and I was like, yeah, this is what I was missing. I need this back in my life. And so I started to get more integrated with my faith. And at that time was also when I met my husband. And so like, it just all kind of made more sense and transitioned after that.
Okay. I gotcha. That's good. I'm glad.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, I bet. So tell me about your health journey, because you said that you had quite a bit of weight to lose.
Yeah. So when I was growing up, I was always like a skinny mini, like I was a twig, tall and skinny. And then when I went to college, I gained the freshman 15 or whatever, but I looked really good when I gained the freshman 15 because I like filled out and I looked like hot, you know, and not to brag, but you know, and so that was all good and well, but because I was raised eating junk because my parents didn't know anything about nutrition, I kind of was used to eating junk and processed food, and that's all I knew how to make. And so when I'm in like my young adult years, all I'm doing is eating out. I worked at restaurants, so I ate at the restaurant, you know, didn't really care if the stuff had good nutritional value. I was just eating it. And I think over time that accumulated. So, you know, but when I met my husband, I was probably 140 pounds, which was still decent. Like, you know, I wasn't like overweight or anything necessarily. I probably wasn't fit, but I wasn't
right.
fat. And so, anyway, when I think at some point, like I had gained a certain amount of, I was like 150 pounds. I started seeing a personal trainer at my school's gym, and I was getting fit and healthy, and it was great. And I was feeling really strong and energetic, and so that was awesome. And then, shortly after that season, like I think I got back down to 145, but then after that, I found out that I was pregnant and I miscarried. And so
from whom?
Okay. My husband.
Okay.
So I was married at this point that I'm talking about. Yeah. So I was married. I was at school because I was working on my master's. So, so sorry. Yes, I was pregnant and I miscarried, and that made me really sad. And so I feel like I kind of like used food as the thing to like make me feel better. And so I started gaining weight slowly over time, the compound effect, and then I got pregnant and it sucked. And so like I had already gained extra weight and then I got pregnant and then of course I gained more weight. And so by the time, long story short, sorry, I talk a lot in a lot of detail. By the time Owen, my oldest, came, I was 45 pounds overweight after he was born. And I didn't know like what I was going to do with all that, and so then I got pregnant with Ian. Like I didn't lose that weight. I got pregnant with Ian on Owen's first birthday. And so then, Ian came in September of 2015 and I was still really heavy. I think 50 pounds overweight at that point. And I remember being in a dressing room because I needed to, and I've talked about this on my page, so this wouldn't be a good post because I already shared it. Maybe it would be. Maybe I should share it again. But I was in the dressing room and trying on clothes because my friend had asked me to deliver a speech during her wedding, and I didn't want to wear maternity clothes. And so I was like trying on all these clothes, and everything I was trying on was like, I used to be a size 8. And then I was like trying on size 14, pants and stuff and like extra large shirts. And I'm like, what is happening to my body? And I remember standing in that dressing room, like, I need some clothes. Like, what am I going to, like, I have to buy some clothes. Like, I have to have something to wear to this wedding. And so I bought the clothes and I went home and I was like, really? Is this it? Like, am I going to, like, this is my new normal? Like, I'm going to be okay with being 50 pounds heavier than I used to be. And I'm just going to be like, well, I'm fat and I'm a mom and this is the way it is now. Like, no, I don't want that to be my life. I don't want to like show that example to my kids. And so I found Beachbody.
How?
Instagram. I was on Instagram because I don't know, I was looking at like healthy food hashtags. I was looking for healthy recipes or something, and I came across my coach's page and kind of started following her a little bit. And then I noticed she had posted about a challenge group, and I joined her challenge group in January of 2016.
So like a year.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, congrats.
Thank you.
Yeah, today's my 2-year for my first challenge group.
That is awesome.
Well, I've done it for years and years, but like my official group.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So how do you feel, like, what's your big motivation for coaching?
Let me think. I mean, it's so like, there's so much because obviously I want to help people with an area that I've struggled. I feel like that's something just comes naturally to me, but the financial piece of it is such a big draw for me too, because growing up in this situation I did, we didn't have a whole lot of money. And so to be able to provide that kind of financial freedom for my children is something that really, is a big thing for me.
Right. So what is like your big picture?
Big picture.
For your Beachbody.
So I want to retire my father. He is 60 or something, or he's going to be 60, and there's no chance he's ever going to retire on his own. Like, he doesn't have any money. So I'd like to retire him. I'd like to retire my husband. I'm crazy. Like, this stuff doesn't happen to people, except in like the top 1% of the Beachbody business, but I want to be one of them. So anyway, I want to retire him, but I don't know if he wants that because he actually really likes his job. So it's kind of like one of those things, like, we'll see,
Right.
And then as far as the rest of it, like, I want to travel with my family. I want to take them places. Like, I don't want it to be like a big deal if we want to take a week or two off in the middle of the year and go, somewhere fun, and just like have this kind of experiences with them.
Right. So like, what will be your definition of success? Or what is it?
Like financially?
Just, I'm leaving it open.
Okay. Because I feel like I like the recognition that Beachbody offers people. you know? And so I guess I feel like that would be a huge thing. Like if I was announced on the national wake up call for hitting One Star Diamond or something, like that would be a really awesome thing. And then as far as, I guess, financially, even though I have these giant dreams of like retiring my dad and retiring my husband and like going on all these exotic vacations, I think the main thing that I would see as success is having a full-time income, like working part-time from home, like, you know, making at least $50,000-$60,000 a year. To me, I'd be like, that's success, you know, like getting to do what you love and not having to do it on someone else's schedule or under their terms, like that's success for me.
Okay. So here's like, what makes you happy?
Food. No. Travel, food, arts, music, like all of those things make me really happy. You know, I want to see my kids experience those things, you know, like that makes me happy.
So like, did you, because you said like in college you were doing like personal trainer stuff, but like when did you learn nutrition?
I mean, I would say I probably didn't have a really good grasp of nutrition until Beachbody. Like, when I did the personal training stuff in college, my personal trainer was amazing. I'm actually talking to her like, you should be a coach. Trying to get her to join my team. She's doing Juice Plus, that. Anyway, back to what I'm talking about. She was she kind of gave me some guidelines, which were really helpful, you know, and it was like the basic stuff, like use a smaller plate, you know, eat more veggies, you know, like, you know, just the basic stuff. But I think like once I did, because the first program I did was 21 Day Fix. So like
kind of figured it out.
Portion control and like understanding that I had a very carb rich diet. Like everything I ate was carbs. And that's how come I gained so much. Oh my gosh, I know. But like, you can't live on pasta like constantly. So, and it was like, and my dad didn't understand, and he was a chef or cook, whatever. He didn't understand nutrition. Like he'd be like, a potato is a vegetable. And I'm like, no.
No.
Mashed potatoes aren't our vegetable. That's just another carb. Like,
that's funny. Oh, I was going to ask you, what programs have you done?
A lot. So I started with 21 Day Fix, and then I did 22-minute hardcore because that came out like right after I did that. I did not like that program. It was hard. Okay.
Well, and Tony Horton is not my favorite.
Yeah, I wasn't a big fan of 22-minute hardcore. I did like that they were only 22 minutes, but
yeah.
Size, Insanity Max 30, PiYo, and Quarter Force. And now I'm doing a PiYo and Masters Hammer and Chisel mashup.
Okay.
So,
and what's your most favorite one? Like, what's your favorite type of training?
My favorite program from Beachbody is PiYo, for sure. I think I just love Shalene. Like, she gets me.
She's awesome.
She's my favorite. But I would say as far as training, like I like to dance a lot. So Size was another favorite of mine. I think just anything that can be fun, you know, that doesn't feel like a workout. Those are my favorite kind of workouts or favorite way to train.
Like, have you done Country Heat or any?
So I sampled it early on and I was like, this workout's so stupid. Like, I did not like it. But then I tried it again and I couldn't stop smiling the whole time. I thought it was hysterical, but it was a lot of fun. So I think I should do that one at some point.
I hate dancing because I can't. Like, so, I mean, I've done the sample ones of those ones, but I'm just like, I feel so stupid.
I do too, but I laugh at it, you know, so
it's cool. Fine. At least I'm not doing it in front of other people.
No, I've gone live on my Facebook. I'm like, hey, join me. Country, no.
Okay, I think I'm getting close to the end. What is your greatest hope?
And
that's totally open to whatever area comes to your mind.
I guess to be, I don't know. to not worry about money, like to not worry about finances. I guess that's the thing I'm thinking about since we were just talking about Beachbody stuff, but, to not sweat if I want to take my kids out to eat or, or take them somewhere. I just don't want to feel like I have to budget that. I don't know if that's even possible.
Well, I think if you're making enough, it is.
Yeah.
Well, and I was going to ask this too. So, because obviously you've had lots of stuff to deal with, right? So, how do you think personal development has helped you with that?
Oh my gosh, a ton. I would say more than anything, I feel so confident. And it's because of personal development. It's because of reading and just constantly changing the way I think about things. Because my brain, like I told you, it's all subconscious. My brain tells me things all the time that aren't true,
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things I feel like that's been the golden nugget for me in the past year has been, it's okay to fail, it's okay to mess up, and it's expected that you mess up. And the more you fail, the more you grow. Because in the past, it was like failure I felt like I was defined by failure. Like if I failed a class, my parents, my dad would be upset with me. My mom, she would be upset, but I don't know why. My dad would be upset with me. If I remember trying out for basketball when I was a kid and I didn't make the team, and it was just so devastating. Failure was always such a devastating thing for me. And just now knowing that, it's okay to fail because you can figure it out if you just try again. And I take that same approach in my fitness journey because I fail every day in my fitness journey. And so I just think, it's okay if I fail because tomorrow's a new day and I'll just try again and it'll be all right.
What do you think has been one of your big fails in coaching? And how have you used that to grow?
I don't know. I'm going to talk to you, kind of have a conversation about this because I feel like for me, my biggest failure, this whole past year, because this has been my first year of coaching, has been a giant failure because I'm learning from other people above me what I'm supposed to be doing, but I feel like, are they just trying to get me to produce numbers? Because success club, that's constantly that's what you got to work on. And it doesn't matter how you get there, just get there. And it's this whole past year, I've just been spamming people, I feel like, and I've been feeling really icky about it and very uncomfortable, which is why I'm in this training, because I want to figure out how to do things the right way. I don't want to do what Jesse's talking about, And so this past year, I feel like I've actually been successful. I hit diamond a couple weeks ago. So that was great, but I've already fallen out of it because it was just, I built it up myself. Basically, I have one builder on my team who's actually showing up. And so I think just because I've been sending out all these cold invites, I've been wasting a ton of time because I've been just sending out invites to whoever wants an invite, they don't want an invite, but you know what I mean? Whoever I can send an invite to, because it's like a deck of cards and eventually somebody's going to say yes. But I just feel like I'm just wasting time. I need to be spending that time with my kids, not spending that time on my computer, copy, paste. And so I would say that's been my biggest failure. And this year moving forward, I want to work, I just told my coach, I'm slowing down. So just back off. I can't be doing this. This doesn't feel right. I need to do things the way I want to do them. And so I was like, I probably won't hit Success Club this month. And I just don't even care because I want to work on my business the right way. So.
Yeah, no, and it's true because some coaches are totally numbers, right? And it's no, it's people. And that's one thing I like about the training is it's you give value first. And you connect with people and eventually it will come, right?
Right.
That's, well, and honestly, I feel like it's been pulling teeth, right? It's who am I even inviting? Because I've stopped doing the cold invites because I felt like a sleaze, right? Mm-hmm. Hi, I've not talked to you for 10 years, but do you want to do this?
Right. Join my team. Join my challenge. And they're like, what? And and I've had some people who I guess have been watching me. And so they did respond well. They're like, oh, I was hoping you'd invite me because I've been seeing what you've been doing. And that's great. But they're so few and far between.
Yeah.
And, you know, like I said, I feel like this month has been so good for me, Kendra, because I have completely like said, screw it. It doesn't matter if I hit Success Club, because I know that I'm building a foundation, you know, instead of just feeling like the numbers are all that matter. And I hope my coach understands that. She's actually in the training too, but she hasn't been able to do any of it. So anyway, I hope she understands that, you know,
right.
But in the end of the day, it's not about whether or not I please her, you know, it's about my business. So,
right. Well, and like I actually, like I've had so many coaches cancel because I signed up as a discount. Like, I haven't found any builders. Like my husband's wanting to be one, but like he's working on his PhD. Like he doesn't have tons of time, right?
Right.
So it's just like, oh my gosh. Like, so this training is like, I need